Okay, picture this. It's 2 a.m. The wind is absolutely howling outside, and a massive thunderstorm is just dumping inches of rain on your neighborhood by the minute. Suddenly, the lights flicker, and then total darkness. The grid is down. Now, up in your bedroom, it basically just seems like a minor inconvenience, right? But down in your basement, the clock is literally ticking. Groundwater is rising incredibly fast against your foundation, and your main defense against a flood, your electrically powered sump pump, is totally dead. It is pretty much every homeowner's worst nightmare. So let's jump right into this explainer and check out what's billed as the ultimate safeguard against this exact scenario, the battery backup sump pump. Which really brings us to the core question here. Are battery backup sump pumps actually worth the investment? I mean, you see them marketed everywhere as this ultimate insurance policy for your basement. But let's be real for a second. We're talking about a significant upfront financial commitment here, plus installation and ongoing maintenance. So today, we're taking a completely objective look at the facts to figure out exactly when these systems make financial sense, and honestly, when they might just be a bit of overkill. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The power outage threat. 2. How battery backups actually work. 3. When they pay off. 4. Smart buying criteria. And 5. Limits and alternatives.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the power outage threat.
There is a really brutal irony when it comes to basement flooding. Your traditional sump pump relies completely on electricity, but severe weather causes power outages at the exact same moment those heavy rains cause groundwater to surge. And this creates a genuinely chilling scenario. We're talking about a very narrow window where a basement transitions from just wet to fully flooded before any manual intervention is even possible. If you're asleep, at work, or maybe on vacation, that window closes incredibly fast. Honestly, by the time you even realize the power is out, the water has probably already breached your foundation. So how do we close that window? That brings us to Section 2, how battery backups work. Now, there's a huge misconception out there that a backup is just some giant battery you plug your normal pump into. But it's not. It's actually a completely automated step-by-step mechanical sequence. Here's how it goes down. Step 1, the main power fails. Step 2, because your primary pump is dead, the water level in the sump pit starts to rise until it triggers a secondary, entirely dedicated float mechanism. And Step 3, that switch automatically activates a completely separate alternate backup pump. You don't have to go downstairs and flip a switch. You don't even have to be home. The system detects the failure and just immediately takes over the heavy lifting for you. The crucial thing to grasp here is the distinct roles these two systems play. Your primary sump pump? That's your everyday workhorse. It runs on standard household current and handles normal groundwater. The backup system, on the other hand, relies on a specialized battery. And the key word I really want to stress here is maintained. Most modern setups include an automatic charger that's constantly monitoring and topping off the battery while your house still has power. That way, you've got absolute maximum capacity ready to go the exact second disaster strikes. Which perfectly tees up Section 3, when they pay off. Look, this investment isn't universally required for every single house out there, but it provides absolutely massive returns in specific situations. Think of it kind of like a spare tire, right? You hope you never need it, but if you do, it literally saves you from total disaster. It pays off big time if your neighborhood has a history of outages during heavy rain, even if you've never actually flooded before. It's also super vital if you have a high water table or your pump is just cycling on and off constantly. Obviously, if you have finished living space down there, drywall, utilities, or valuable heirlooms stored in the basement, the stakes are way higher. And finally, consider mechanical redundancy. Even if your power never ever goes out, primary pumps can just break or a float switch can get jammed. A backup system gives you a totally separate layer of physical reliability. So let's talk numbers and build the financial case here. The upfront cost of a backup system, the pump, the battery, paying a pro to install it, yeah, that definitely adds up. But you really have to weigh that against the sheer devastation of a flood. We are talking about overwhelming basement restoration costs here. Mold remediation alone, that can easily cost thousands of dollars. Toss in ruined flooring, destroyed drywall, compromised electrical wiring, and, of course, the heartbreaking loss of your personal belongings. When you actually run the numbers, the price of a reliable backup system is just a tiny fraction of what a single flood event will cost you. It's proactive damage control, plain and simple. If you are thinking about pulling the trigger, you need to know what to look for. So Section 4, smart buying criteria. Because, spoiler alert, not all backups are created equal. You'll want to keep a few key criteria in mind when you're shopping. First up, check the battery capacity and runtime so you know exactly how many hours of pumping you'll get during a blackout. Next is discharge height and flow rate, and this one is absolutely critical. The pump has got to be powerful enough to physically lift that water out of your basement and push it against the resistance of your home's piping. Then evaluate the charger quality. A smart charger is essential to keep the battery from boiling over or dying way too early. You also definitely want built-in alarms and Wi-Fi monitoring. Trust me, you want this thing texting your phone if the battery is failing long before the storm clouds even gather. And finally, installation quality. You could buy literally the best pump on the market, but if it's set up or routed improperly, it's just going to ruin its performance entirely. We also need to be totally upfront about what these systems can't do. Let's move to Section 5, Limits and Alternatives. Let's just go ahead and debunk a very common misconception right now. The expectation for a lot of folks is that a backup system is this set-it-and-forget-it magic bullet that'll just run indefinitely during a multi-day blackout. But the reality? Its operation is strictly finite. It is entirely limited by the size of the battery and how hard the pump actually has to work. If you've got a massive influx of water coming in, the pump is going to run more often and that battery is going to drain a lot faster. Plus, batteries degrade over time. You generally need to replace them every 3 to 5 years, so it really does require active ownership and an awareness of the system's limitations. Because of those limits, a battery backup really shouldn't be your only line of defense. There are quite a few complementary steps you should take first. Making sure you have proper exterior drainage and grading, like sloping the earth away from your foundation and extending your downspouts, that drastically reduces the volume of water your pump even has to deal with in the first place. Next, regular sump pit cleaning is going to stop debris from jamming up those switches. Also, double-checking that you have proper check valves stops the water from just pouring right back down the pipe into the pit every time the pump turns off. By combining these structural defenses with a backup pump, you are building a seriously comprehensive, resilient system for your home. So we've looked at the mechanics, the financial realities, and the limitations. And I really want to leave you with this final, thought-provoking question. If the power goes out tonight, how much time do you actually have before your basement becomes a costly restoration project? Honestly, understanding your home's unique water table, your neighborhood's outage history, and your own personal risk tolerance is the only way to answer that. A battery backup sump pump is an undeniably powerful tool, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to evaluate your space and decide if it's the right investment for your peace of mind.